Welcome to my corner of the internet, guys. I am the Lucid Dream, and today we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to deep dive into a serious issue that affects countless content creators on YouTube, and that's fake copyright strikes. If you are a YouTuber or an avid viewer, this topic is pretty crucial for you. So let's go ahead and get into it, but first and foremost, thank you to all of my channel members and subscribers. Without you, I would not be here, so as always, every day, thank you. Now let's get into it. So imagine spending countless hours editing your videos, making your videos, providing your commentary, playing your game, whatever you do on your channel, pouring your heart and soul into it, only to have it taken down by an illegal copyright strike. It's frustrating, it's unfair, and unfortunately, it's becoming incredibly common on this platform. But what exactly are fake copyright strikes? What effects do they have on the creators? And ultimately, what are the legal ramifications for those who misuse the copyright system?
Hey, I'm Mock and I work on copyright at YouTube. Today I'm going to tell you about three things. First, I'm going to talk a bit about abusive copyright claims and takedowns, which is when someone who doesn't own the copyright to any content in your video tries to tell us that they do. Then, I'll tell you what YouTube does to protect your videos from bogus claims and takedowns. And last, I'll let you know where your options are if you ever run into a copyright issue that you think is a mistake. So what do I mean when I say abusive copyright claims? You might already know, but not everyone does. When people use our copyright claiming tools like Content ID or sending a takedown request to claim or take down videos that they don't have the rights to, that's abusive. In other words, these are bogus or fraudulent Content ID claims and copyright takedowns, and they're not okay. We take abuse of our copyright tools seriously, and we're not afraid to punish people who misuse them. That said, YouTube isn't a court of law, and we're not always able to make a final call about who really owns the rights to what content. Sometimes, that needs to be determined in court. To explain this more, I'm going to need to give you a little background info first. On YouTube, there are two types of copyright issues you might run into. Your video can get a copyright takedown, which results in a strike, or it can be claimed through Content ID, which is used by thousands of YouTube partners, most of whom manage the rights of many different creators and artists. On the other hand, the takedown process is available to anyone who owns a copyright. Another difference is that takedown requests are reviewed by YouTube, while Content ID usually works automatically, which means that YouTube only sees these claims after they're made. Even though these systems work differently, we use similar guidelines to tell if a Content ID claim or takedown request is suspicious. There are certain patterns that show us very clearly when a copyright issue is bogus. Now, if you're a legitimate copyright owner, don't worry about making a casual mistake, getting labeled as fraudulent or abusive. It's very unlikely, and if we do suspect something, we'll give you a chance to explain what happened before you take any action on your channel. We always try to distinguish between people who are maliciously abusing copyright to block videos they don't like, and people who have made an innocent mistake. Copyright is complicated, and we understand that it can be tricky to manage your rights, so we always try to educate people about how the process works. But we have zero tolerance for bad actors who use copyright as a tool to censor or troll members of the YouTube community. One thing that's important to keep in mind is that for large copyright owners using Content ID, small oversights or mistakes they make can have a huge impact. For example, a record label might provide a wrong title for one of the songs, and that might confuse creators who receive Content ID claims from them. When we see things like this, we follow up with the Content ID partner to make sure they review their claims, fix their issues, and find a way to avoid the same problem going forward. We've helped clear up millions of inappropriate Content ID claims this way. If a copyright owner continues to make this kind of mistake, we may limit their access to Content ID or terminate their partnership with YouTube entirely. We've taken action against hundreds of current and former partners. Overall, we see far more blatant attempts to abuse copyright through the takedown process rather than Content ID. This is because anyone with a YouTube account can access our copyright takedown web form. While the vast majority of takedown requests we receive are legitimate, we still terminate tens of thousands of YouTube channels every year for attempting fraudulent.
I don't know how true the statement is, but I really hope it is. I hope YouTube is actually making an effort to stop this criminal behavior. Because the very bottom line is if you are maliciously using the copyright system as a tool to silence someone because you don't like what they say, not only is that a you problem, it's against the law. And you will eventually pay for it. And I hope every single one of your stupid channels get taken down.
Takedowns. Another thing we hear a lot of concern from creators about is fair use. Criticism or commentary of someone's copyrighted work, even without their permission, is often protected by copyright law. But we still see copyright owners use our tools to try to control legitimate uses of their work. Our team makes a huge effort to catch takedown requests targeting fair use videos before those videos are removed. When we catch these, we take the opportunity to educate the copyright owner about fair use and similar laws around the world. In some cases, we're even able to protect these videos creators against copyright lawsuits. If fair use interests you, you may want to learn more about our Fair Use Protection Initiative. Content ID, however, isn't always able to tell the difference between fair use and copyright infringement. If you wind up with a Content ID claim on a fair use video, you can always dispute the claim. In other words, we know we don't always catch bad Content ID claims or takedowns before they happen, but that doesn't mean you're out of luck. Since you have the most context about your video, you're often in the best position to understand if a claim or a takedown is incorrect. And you always have a way to fight a claim that you disagree with. The first question you should ask yourself is, am I dealing with a Content ID claim or a copyright takedown? You can find this information on your channel's copyright page. Now, if your video is incorrectly claimed through Content ID, you can dispute the claim. You can do that easily from the page where you learn more about your copyright issue. If you get a copyright takedown and it's invalid, then there's a legal process called counter notification. You can find more information about your options for resolving strike in your email inbox or on your channel's copyright page. Oh, and by the way, there's another legal option we should mention. Under Section 512F of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, also known as the DMCA, anyone who deliberately files a fraudulent takedown request may be liable for damages. In other words, if your video is removed maliciously, you may be able to sue the person who sent the takedown request. It doesn't happen often, but we thought you should know that. Now, one word of warning. You want to be sure about the reason you're appealing before you take any of these steps. You may not always recognize the company that claimed your video, but that doesn't mean they're not authorized to do so. Copyright owners often hire other companies to manage your rights online. Just because the owner is hard to track down doesn't mean they've abused the copyright system. You may want to reach out to the copyright owner first, or get legal advice if you're not sure about what to do. We hope we've given you a clear idea of how we fight bogus copyright claims. We know it's a big issue for our creator community. Have we answered your questions? Would you like to hear more about anything we discussed today? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.
So the DMCA stipulates that anyone who knowingly and maliciously misrepresents that material is infringing can be held liable for damage, including court costs and attorney's fees incurred by the alleged infringer. In other words, if you file a fake copyright strike, you can very well end up in court. So I will give you an example. I had a false copyright strike on my video about Liberty Troll. He is claiming copyright on my video, and I will be filing a counterclaim, and I'm not worried about winning. I already know I will. But the point of the matter is he filed a fake strike because his feelings were hurt, is what it comes down to. And that is absolutely abuse of the copyright system. He's not the only one. We have a lot of these people who are targeting people in the anti-frauditor community because of their feelings. So ironically enough, the group that is all about, following the law and not policy has absolutely no problem breaking the law when it comes. So a side of this that is a little bit darker is these assholes will weaponize the copyright system in order to gain your personal information to dox you. So when you file a counterclaim, it automatically provides your name and your address to the person filing the claim. Now, I have seen this firsthand. Audit Them doxed me immediately after my videos were restored from his false copyright claim. I have seen other creators do it. Just protect yourself. There's going to be a link in the description of an attorney who charges like $1.49, and you get to use his information instead. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you would like to see. I will catch you on the next one.